A 15-year-old boy from Delhi, India, has just crushed world number one Magnus Carlsen, and he didn't even wake his parents up to tell him the astonishing news. Look at the headlines this is making around the world. It's a sensation. Why is it blowing up so much? Why didn't this kid wake up mum and dad? And who even is he? Well, this is his name. It's Vandan Sawai. He's a youngster playing in Titled Tuesday, the strongest online chess tournament in the world. Turns up, and this is the crazy part, he's just a candidate master, nowhere near Grandmaster or Magnus's level on paper, and yet he does this, crushes Magnus. Let's check out what happened here. It opened with the e-pawn, best by test. What a game this is. Well, at least to start with, something kind of crazy happens in the middle here. We get an Italian game. Magnus so impressed he copies, and now white goes for the big centre. Magnus fighting for that pawn, but white undeterred, thrusts forward here, hits the bishop. We get takes, pawn takes, big centre, Magnus flicking in a check, and the knight blocking, most popular move. Bishop block, second most popular. Sometimes you lose a pawn, but white gets big play, often the pawn back. This is how this game went, however. Offering this pawn, right, not taken. Let's not go down the line. White can start thrusting with this one, discombobulate this guy, then you even get d6, ruin the structure. There's a lot of compensation, and you often win the pawn back. So in the game, Magnus plays this move, fighting immediately, fire with fire in the center. We get takes on d5, knight recaptures, both players get the kings to safety, and a3 now puts the question to the bishop. So often the top players want to hold on to this legendary bishop bear, so Magnus backs up here. Rook e1, Chewbacca's favourite move, also known as the Wookiee one. Magnus finally gets all his bits out. It's what you're meant to do at the chessboard, and now the knight springs into the centre. Opens the eyes of the bishop. Magnus activates the queen. Didn't have to stick it there. Could have activated a rook or something. Because now you run into this. The seahorse springing to life, hitting Her Majesty. If you go b6, it really starts to weaken some light squares, so this is actually the best move. Pawn recaptures here, rook a d8, and now a very annoying move. Bishop g5. You hit the rook, and if you go f6, you open this diagonal, lift the king's kilt. So knight f6 is actually the top move of the engine, even though you offer to compromise the pawns. This is a bit more human though, even though it looks a bit stinky. Bishop backing up. Looks like you just hung a piece, but you can't take it. The knight is pinned to the king. And Magnus, desperate to break that pin, now blunders hugely. Plays the move, bishop e6. Now why is that a blunderific move? Well, the answer is rook takes on e6. This was missed. We're in the analysis mode here. Back cave, queen recaptures, and it's all to do with this nasty diagonal coupled with this pressure, pawn eliminated, and bishop backing up to break this connection. This is pretty deep stuff. Not easy to see in a blitz game. You try and break the pin, but then there's another pin even after the queen moves. You can bring the rook across, and if you try and sidestep with the king, then there's lines like this. Looks like you got out of all the trouble, but no, you lost an entire rook. Many lines similar to that. Engine stuff, of course. This was a killer. Missed. Bishop g3 instead. Does make sense, because the bishop was hanging. Looked like Magnus now blocked off the issue down here. So this was the response from Magnus. Queen c2 prepares to bring the rook. Covers this bishop. Rook fe8. We're all dreaming of rook ad1 to complete the rook tangle. Everyone would have had a meltdown, but not to be. These ones go into the blender. Queen recaptures, Here comes Chewbacca's favourite move once more. Queen d7, rook d1, tons of pressure on that knight. And before you can say, Magnus Mustaschen, there he is, chewing away, a real goat in the flesh. Space is gained by Vandan. Wonderful structure. Connect 3. Magnus fights back with this pawn to c-ships move. Covers the knight in the centre. Bishop backing up here. Now knight f5, preparing to win the bishop pair. And that's why the bishop slides to f4. You can't take. There's pins. No time to Botez gambit. So Magnus backs off. The bishop is now on prise. It backs off to the starting square. Don't worry, this isn't a sign of resignation and setting up the board for the new game. The bishop's rerouting. Magnus does the same with his pony. Loves a pony manoeuvre. These ones go into the blender. That's the bishops now chopped off the board. Magnus is going to recapture, or is he? This is where we see a shocker. Now the question is, did Magnus mouse slip or did he misassess a tactic here? So in the game, he plays king f8. He should just take the bishop. Did he possibly think that this was a losing move because takes knight? You know, the queen was overloaded here. And having seen this, he thought he'd keep it kind of weird, not take the bishop if he's going to lose a piece anyway, and play in a different manner. Maybe that's why he did this move. But this is actually okay for black, because you can check down here, it leads to a mate, and because of this, let's back up. White can't take this knight. You have to stay with the back rank, and then you have different moves. Let's say h3, queen d5 to cover your piece. It's just a level position. Obviously Magnus will go on to win because it's Magnus. So let's back up. So possibly he deliberately didn't take the bishop because he thought he was going to lose a piece anyway and misassessed it. Or he just straight up mouse slipped. The jury's out. Maybe Magnus will let us know. I doubt it. Don't think he watches Epic Cheese. Either way, he's now just a clean minor piece down. And even being Magnus Carlsen, you're going to struggle to win or draw even such a position against these seriously strong titled players. Yes, they're not grandmasters, but boy are they good. Over 2,800 on chess.com. Let's see how things play out. Well, the audacity here. The queens even get traded. Now that's when you know you're on top. This now enters an endgame here. Now Magnus, of course, is famed for his endgames. He's the greatest endgame player of all time. But can he come back from this? If you want to learn endgames, by the way, this is a great moment to shout out Lotus Chess. It's the #1 feature I've been using lately. Not the opening feature, which is also fantastic, but the endgames. New chess season's just round the corner. If you play any kind of league chess, over the board chess, learning those endgames, rook and pawn, king and pawn, minor pieces, so important. And there is no better way, more fun way to do it than Lotus Chess is what I've found. Honestly, give it a go. I love it. Kind of addictive, but in a good learn chess way, improve way. Link is down below, completely free to get started. I've just hit 600k downloads, which is nuts. Check it out. They've only been going a year, making constant improvements as well, all the time. Magnus brings the knights around, but at the end of the day, this is an extra minor piece. So tough to fight against those kind of material odds. Even when your name's Mango Chutney Son, he rotates the king back and forth. These pieces go into the chopping board, even though it compromises the structure. King now bouncing around into the centre of the board in just a moment. First the knight is attacked, saved. Bishop's going to work now. Finally this one's chopped off. And after king d4, Magnus Carlsen resigns the game. It's move 50. He's a piece down. He's done for. So here's the big question. Why didn't this young man go and wake up his parents? Well, he was just tired, apparently. He played 3 out of 4 games and won them in the tournament, then left the tournament, didn't tell his parents. Apparently his dad went online, saw the tournament, found the result, rang up this young man's chess coach to spread the news. So it's kind of weird. You'd have thought you'd be jumping from the rooftops, right? Not literally, but metaphorically, celebrating your heart out. Anyway, I'm sure this guy was chuffed. Incredible win against Magnus Carlsen, regardless of the circumstances. Hope you enjoyed this video, and do have a look at the one on screen in case you missed the incredible Magnus Carlsen Hans Niemann encounter played recently in real life in Paris. Wow, what a game it was. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Cheers.